How's it going? Aaron here with another daily selfie cam video. And today I wanted to go over my server setup that I just created. Was fairly involved despite it being pretty simple to set up because I wanted to get it just right. It's still in the development stage a little bit, still tweaking it a little bit, but mostly it's configured by now. And so I wanted to show off physically what I had done to the devices. There's a bunch of software tweaks, installations, things that I did to it, but I just want to show you the basics so that you have an idea. It'll give us a basis for other videos to come where I can show you things that I have done on the server and services that I've enabled and cool things like that. So let's get started. Alright guys, so as you've probably been able to tell, the setting has changed. I'm now in the spare bedroom, and I just wanted to show you the setup that I have for my server. This is where I put it. It's wirelessly connected to the router that we have, so the connection speeds are somewhat bottlenecked in that way, but it is really convenient for cabling. You really just need power cables, data cables to the local devices, but it was pretty simple in that respect. Other than that, there was some difficulty in getting the cable management, the right kind of things to manage the cables, etc., etc. But let me show that to you right now. So I'm going to flip around the camera so you can take a look for yourself. Let's see if we can do that on the fly. Not so much. All right. There we go. So now that you can see what I'm seeing on the, we'll start with the base actually. So down here, I actually set up, this is an old desk that we got a while ago. It was used, but sort of just repurposed it. I used to have an iMac G3 on top of here, an old CRT television, but now I made it sort of my my new home for my server. So down here we have a UPS, and I wanted to do that because in the area that I live in, we seem to have a lot of brownouts and some, blackouts, things like that. So I really wanted my electronics to be protected, and I wanted to get everything done as right as possible. Now obviously I can't control the wiring behind the wall too much at this point. It's an older home, but wanted to do what I could from this side of the wall. So anyway, this model, if you take a look, in close is a CyberPower 1350 PFC LCD, and what that's supposed to do is it's supposed to be compatible with devices that require sine wave input rather than the simulated sine wave input. So that can help with to prevent problems where, in case the battery backup needs to actually kick in, it doesn't just cut the power essentially to the connected devices because the connected devices would otherwise believe that the cord was essentially yanked, or that it's an incompatible, I suppose, voltage source. But anyway, this should be a sine wave output, and so you can see it's a pretty nice unit, decent wattage output, even though everything that's connected to it is pretty low on the energy consumption scale. So we're going to head up from here. Take it up slowly. On the right hand side you can see a printer that I have had for probably about 8 years. It's a Hewlett-Packard HP LaserJet P1006. It's a bit of a workhorse, black and white LaserJet printer. Had it plugged in via USB for a long time to my local computer, but I decided I wanted to network it. It would relieve one of the ports, one of the USB ports on my computer, and it also would give me more flexibility if I wanted to print from a laptop or just print remotely around the house. So that was kind of a cool thing. In the middle, obviously, we have the main controller. So we have the Mac Mini. It's a 2011, mid-2011, I believe, Mac Mini server, 2.0 gigahertz i7 quad-core processor, 8 gigabytes of DDR3 memory. I don't remember the exact specification for the speed. It has an OEM, I believe, 256 gig or 250 gig SSD. It's not the fastest, but it gets the job done. And on the left side, we have a Western Digital, I think it's a MyBook, I believe, that I formatted for just basically additional storage, and I've been using this with my local computer as a replacement for an older hard drive that I have, and I store my, as you can see, sorry for the hand, I store my music collection on there. I store larger video files. That's what I've been doing right now, storing larger video files to offload some of that storage responsibility from my local hard drive so that I can free it up for other things. And so now I'm going to get a little bit into more of the specifics. Over here on the left you can see I haven't really cleaned up the space. Here's just some of the product that I've used in the project. These are actual little things you can use for cable management. They stick, they have an adhesive on the back. They can stick to the side of a desk, the top of a desk. In this case I use them to stick to the back of a desk, and I actually routed the cables with these little minimalistic clips. They call them cable drops in this case, and you can actually route the cables nicely so you don't see a lot of wires. You can see pretty minimalistic wiring from this angle, just right down the back. Now that's an old air conditioning unit. That's that cable, but it's disconnected. If you look down from the bottom, pretty minimalistic wiring. There's basically from this angle a single wire coming from the UPS. Everything else is basically hidden. If I come up from the top though, you can see how this is set up. From the back, more cables obviously shown here, but I tried to make that, you see the figure 8. Tried to use these little clips behind to route the wires as carefully as possible. There's a blank one where I had actually an additional external hard drive routed through there, but I realized that for my purposes it wasn't suitable. Anyway, so I was going through these products. So this one's for cable routing. Here's some little bumpers that I got from Bed Bath & Beyond actually. I was looking for something to reduce the shock that might go through the hard drive if something else is vibrating near it, and also just the, reduce the vibration of the hard drive against itself between the hard surface, of the casing and the disk. So while it includes these nice little rubber feet on the bottom, they don't seem to include anything for mounting it sideways because I didn't want it to topple over accidentally. So what I did was I actually took some of these feet, there were some larger ones here, and I actually mounted them on the bottom corners of this drive, and it actually isolates it quite nicely. Anyway, getting back to the connection to the server. The server obviously has power, as you can see in the far right. It has the connection to the printer, and that allows it to be wireless through printer sharing, and I can go over that in another video. This here is actually the UPS input, because in the event of a failure, it allows the Mac to receive data knowing that something is wrong, knowing possibly the battery capacity, how much time is left on the battery, so that it can hopefully shut down automatically by itself safely, even if I'm not around to handle it in the event of a blackout or a brownout. More so in a blackout, I guess. Like I said, external storage, I think it's a 4 terabyte, I want to say. I got a pretty good deal off Amazon. Wasn't too thrilled with the shipping, the packing method that Amazon took, but that's a story for another time. Anyway, going through these products, put this to the side, that's what I was using that for. And this is just some extra cabling and packaging that I have to put away along with these other items. That one, as you can see, is from CyberPower. That is from the power supply. That's from the UPS, the uninterruptible power supply. So as you can see, this is a nice little setup, wirelessly connected, no Ethernet necessary, no cabling needed from below or behind or up or down, sideways, any which way you can think of for internet. And so it gives a nice wireless connection, very clean look, minimalistic. I still have plenty of room when I remove these things to either put another storage unit like a hard drive, or possibly a display or some other component, something else I can network to it. Anyway, if you have any ideas, you can obviously leave them down in the comments below. But other than that, we're going to cut back to the selfie cam. Hi guys, back at home base. As you can see, trusty computer behind me, the screen has gone dark, but that doesn't matter because I'm here with you. I wanted to go over a couple things that I had forgotten to mention. One was that there's actually two parts to the back of the UPS main parts, that is. One part is for surge protection and battery backup, and one is for surge only. You're not supposed to put, there's certain components, certain devices you're not supposed to put on the UPS side, the actual battery side. You're only supposed to put, I guess, things like computers, possibly hard drives on the battery backup side. So that's what I did, and maybe a monitor, I suppose. But what I did for the printer, which is not supposed to be on the battery backup side, was I just put it on the surge side. So on the surge side, we have the printer. On the battery backup side, we have the computer and that external Western Digital hard drive. Another nice benefit of that Western Digital hard drive is that it's not really so much that I needed the extra storage network per se. It's nice. It's a little slow though, like I said, over Wi-Fi. I know I could probably speed that up with a wired connection, but there's some other disadvantages, obviously, cosmetically. Sorry about that angle. Cosmetically and logistically to run the cabling, I believe. But anyway, I did it because it actually frees up another port on this puppy back here. There's a limited number of USBs on these Macs, and so I freed up a port with the printer being removed, and I freed up a port with that hard drive being removed. So now I have a little bit more access to have multiple devices, let's say like my iPhone connected, my backup drive connected, some other devices, and not have to worry about making as many compromises when I am connecting devices, needing to disconnect them, and etc. etc. Beyond that, pretty much filled you in on the hardware side, the completed, I believe, the entirety of the hardware side of the server you were filled in on. But obviously for another day, excuse my thumb there, for another day, the project is for me to probably go over some of the software configurations, the software installation, that I decided which Mac OS version. There's actually two versions running on there. I'm only running one at a time, obviously, and really only one on a regular basis. That's my plan. It's a legacy version, more or less, and so I can talk to you about that, some of the reasoning behind that, compatibility, etc., etc. And like I said, some of the configuration things, some of the project ideas I had for it, some of the things, some of the reasons why I chose to have a server in the first place. It wasn't just to offload, obviously, the printer and just that external storage. There's more to it. So hopefully that'll make some great content for the future. Other than that, I hope you have a great day, a great weekend, and I wish you all the best. Pursue your passions, pursue what makes you happy, and I will see you in the next one.